practically everywhere. And additionally, also.
Sigmars, can I interrupt you for a second? Would you mind recording? Oh, you just did. Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, I started recording, yes. Yeah, so and atmospheric pressure, so like these three like parameters, like CO2 concentration level, temperature, and humidity, you can control, but with the atmospheric pressure, nothing much you can do. But still, it's good to know because it also changes, and maybe like people are also sensitive to atmospheric pressure changes, then you maybe understand why you feel as you are feeling, in some particular day and time. As more for the device, so I also have it in my hand. So it is it's designed for indoor use, but this should not be an issue. We also have some different sensor for outdoor use, but Aranet 4 is meant for indoor use. It is also not waterproof and not drop proof. So there are some cases you can put it to make it more like a rugged and drop proof, but still it's measuring air, so it should have some kind of air exchange in the device. So it's measuring air parameters correctly. So then to note that, as you noticed, it has a pretty big display, e-ink display, and the energy efficient. Also, it has Bluetooth connectivity possibility, so you can download, as I mentioned, from Google Play or App Store app and connect to the device free of charge. And you can also view, for example, historic data from the device, because it has also internal memory that can store data for up to 7 days in its internal memory. And and because of the Bluetooth connection, we also have a dedicated app where you can see also the historic data for on the device it's stored for 7 days, but on the app it's uploaded for 14 days, so basically 2 weeks. Then also it's possible, like out of the box device comes with the disabled like audio buzzer like indication, but you can enable this audio buzzer. I will show you how to do it, so that you also get audio notification if this like CO2 level, like red threshold level has been breached. For example, it could be 1000, it could be 1200, 1400 parts per million. And also from the device, it's also possible to not just view the historic data for like 2 weeks, but also to download it in CSV file format. And if you want immediately, you can send it also in the social networks, for example, or in email or in WhatsApp, basically like all sharing options on the mobile device. So maybe some more details on the Aranet 4. So like the device is also totally lightweight, portable, like for the data transmission, like the Bluetooth is used, so it's wireless, but also the power supply, power source is also it's just powered by two AA batteries. It could be alkaline or lithium, and depending on the measurement interval, the life kind of expectancy of the batteries, it's summarized here. It's possible. It's also published in our webpage, and we can also share this presentation with you also afterwards. More on the technical side, also the device, it's high quality, and also it has, I would say, the best CO2 sensing element in the market, which is non-dispersive infrared sensing element. That also its lifespan, its own kind of lifetime, it's at least 15 years, so it's durable, and yeah, it's very precise, and like I think best option that you can get the most precise, most accurate sensor in the market. Additionally, you can also, if for example, you can use it on some like a portable, kind of way. So you just put it where you are located. Of course, not too close. For example, recommended at least 1 meter, because you should not breathe on the device. But if you want to put it on some public space, and so nobody could kind of vandalize it or do something bad with it, so we also provide such a small, not big, like this anti-theft wall mount option. And just like general recommendation from our side is that if you want to do the CO2 measurements and control monitoring properly, then you should have at least one device in one room. And for the open space, we recommend that one device would be used for 1,500 square feet or like 140 square meters. Then next thing, so on the device side, that's it. You can check yourself, you know, batteries, there are a couple of switches, and basically the most important are the readings from the sensor. But a little bit on the app, I will also show how to install it, how to pair the sensor, but just basically a couple of things here also. So as I mentioned, available in App Store, in Google Play. Also, it's possible to see like the latest measurement from the device also on the app, but also it's possible to see in like a graph view historic data for up to 14 days, and you can also export that such amount of the data also on CSV file format. Also with the app, there are possibility to configure a little bit device. This also will be covered later. And also we develop our kind of software side of the device, which is called Firmware. And this also, it's possible with the app to update the device. So also possibly the display is showing some better information. For example, over the time, maybe something could change, and you can use the app to update the firmware on the device. Also, over time, device loses its accuracy due to like you know, element aging, and for example also dust which settles in this gas chamber where the CO2 concentration level is measured, and it's necessary to recalibrate device. So it would be necessary to take it outdoors. Like our general recommendation is to do it annually. So you take it outdoors, leave it for 10 to 15 minutes without like presence of living organisms, whether these are plants, animals, or humans. Just you have like some space where there is no living organisms, like in 2 meters, and then you do recalibration to in the fresh air outdoors just for 10-15 minutes. So it kind of calibrates to the correct baseline, you know, kind of regains its accuracy. On the app, you also can configure, there are these 3 color like indications. So you can configure both of these threshold levels. You can configure yellow and red threshold levels. So yellow, then you should be warned, and red, then it's like a critical level. Then most probably you should turn on the ventilation system, or open the doors, open the windows, take a like break and walk somewhere, you know, just to kind of ventilate the room. So, and these ones you can configure as it is necessary, as you think it's better. But there are of course there are also regulations, and we can also share our recommendations with you. So because at the moment from our side it would be that yellow level is 800 ppm and red level would be 1000 ppm. And also it's possible to put these readings on the full screen on the mobile device, and if it's necessary you can even do the screen sharing, you know, screen mirroring, and display it also on some TV, for example, if you want, from a mobile phone or a mobile tablet, iPad, mobile device. Then as for the default settings, how the device comes, so the couple of these settings, they can be changed in the battery compartment of the device. When you open the battery compartment, there are 4 jumper switches inside of the battery compartment, and also in the box there is like this I would say it's like iPhone pin instrument, and with this you can change also these jumper switch positions, and you don't need also to take out the batteries. You can change them when the batteries are inside. Just between the batteries you can change the position of these jumper switches. And the first one is for the calibration. This by the default it's set in the manual calibration mode. This means that the device will calibrate when you ask the device to be calibrated, but there is also auto calibration mode, but still we would recommend that to use the manual calibration mode. And also you can do calibration from the app, but for example, if you don't have any mobile device with you, then you can do also the calibration in the battery compartment. Then the second switch is to change the temperature measurement units on the display, because like our version is like we sell our products and they are used all over the world. So out of the box in the States, it comes with Fahrenheit, but if you want, you can also change it to Celsius if you want. And the third one is to disable this Bluetooth connection. If you don't want that to connect to the device or somebody else that connects to the device with Bluetooth with the app, then you can disable this functionality, and this device will not kind of provide possibility to connect to it to with Bluetooth. And also the fourth one is for more like a network solution, but at the moment you don't have this kind of part, so maybe you will implement it over a time. Then you can also kind of send the data to the web and cloud and kind of have like a network solution. But yeah, but there is a possibility, so it's the matter of implementation. But there are also a couple of things you can configure from the app side, and I think they are mentioned here, but this I will show on a practical example. And yeah, and I think I will just go to the kind of practical example. Then you can see, for some, this is my phone. And so the first thing, if you want to use the app, so you have to download it from the App Store or Google Play. I have an Android phone, so I will download it from the Google Play. So you just search for ARANET4 and take this ARANET4, which also with icon representing the ARANET4 device itself. Install it. It will take some time. And if you have time and you have device, you can even do it at the moment with the on your side. So and then you open the app, and you have to, because of the, at least on, I think on in iOS for Apple devices not necessary, but Google is like it asks for also for this location, you know, like enabling on the device. So and then you can enable it while using the device. And the next thing would be to pair the sensor, so it sends the data to the app, to the like mobile phone or mobile device. It can be also iPad or some tablet, you know. So you press on the pair sensor button. It will find the device in your close proximity, most probably only one device. This is my device, and you just press on pair. Then you accept it, and then the device will show the pin code number on the device screen, and you enter this pin code into the phone. And that's it. As you can see, so on the phone I have the same reading as on device. Then what can you configure? So there are some general settings. So you can press on this so-called hamburger icon, and it will open these settings for the app. So you can select the language. So it's English, but we also have our native Latvian language. Then you can configure the temperature measurement unit. So because in one way it can be shown on the device screen. This is determined by the jumper switch in the battery compartment. And the other way, you can, on the app, you can display it in the same measurement unit or with different measurement unit. So for example, I will take Fahrenheit. Then you can like select the atmospheric pressure measurement unit of your preference, you know. For example, maybe this is like inches of quicksilver, like. Then you can like select also the necessary date format. Then you can select whether you want this kind of full screen mode. I will show how it looks on when it's enabled. And yeah, and you can pair additional devices. If you have more than one device in your position, then you can also pair additional devices here. So as you can see, so I changed it. So now there is, you know, like Fahrenheit. And also the atmospheric pressure is shown in inches of quicksilver like level. And also here I enable this kind of measurement display on full screen, which is also possible if you want to keep it in such, kind of mode. Maybe you have some tablet which you can put somewhere, on the wall, and then it could be visible for, publicly, This is also an option. So in the app, you see the latest measurements from the device, including also atmospheric pressure. You can see also the battery level, and then you can configure also the device. So you can enter the name of your device. For example, this would be like a test device. So this is how it will be shown later. You can see here. Did not have the name. Now it has the name. Then you can set up the measurement interval, because it's possible that device measures the CO2 and all three parameters, like each 1, 2, 5, or 10 minutes. So we can, for example, it was configured to 2 minutes. We can change it to 1 minute, and you see it will kind of measure CO2 level more frequently. Here also you can enable this audio buzzer, which I mentioned, and there are, like, by the default it's disabled, but you can enable it. So in two modes. One would be that you configure first like this red alarm threshold level, and then it will be just one time when this threshold level is reached, and if it's not decreasing, then it will not give any additional audio notifications. It will not beep if these measurements are above this threshold. So this is one mode. This is first like the once mode, and every time mode means that for each measurement, for example, if the threshold is breached, then also if the next measurements and after that and so on, they will be also above the configured threshold level. The device on each measurement will beep, and it will kind of motivate you to ventilate the room. Then the Bluetooth range, so it can be normal or extended as you want, but I would keep it in normal, not to kind of have too strong signals, in the air. But it, as you want, it doesn't change any other kind of operation performance of the device. So smart home integration, we also have support for smart home platform Homey. If you have it, then you can enable it and you can use it in Homey smart home environment. Then here also is the possibility to update the firmware. So at the moment, the latest firmware version is 0.4.10. If there would be newer firmware version, then the app will also notify that there is a new firmware version. So please update it. So the device also, RNet4 device itself, this is the firmware version of the device. So it also works in like on the best performance. And here you also can set up the CO2, these two color alarm threshold levels. So by the default, the yellow level is 1,400, 1,000, the red is 1,400. But I would recommend changing them, for yellow to 800 and red to 1,000 parts per million, because as you see now, for example, also this will be represented also here in the color indication on the app, and also on the device you will see which is circle like showing in which kind of range the device or CO2 measurements are. But you can change it via the app. And for example, now, for example, I would like to show that, for example, if you change it yellow level to 700, so the measurements will be colored in the app in different color, and also on the device screen also there will be indication that above 700 the kind of the device is in so-called like yellow measurement mode, so this you can do by changing this mode to custom, and here you enter the necessary values. For example, in my case, it could be like 700, and then you apply, and these settings, this configuration is uploaded to device, and that's it. And you will see that you see the measurement color has changed, and also on the device, you see that the device, this kind of color indication also is in the yellow, this circle like in the bottom of the screen. And what more? And then also here you can do this calibration, which I mentioned that you recommend to do it annually. So you put the device outdoors with no kind of CO2 sources around. And then you just start by calibration, start the calibration, and it will start. And once it's started, it also will show it on the device screen. Okay, I'm indoors, so I don't want to do it, so you can stop it, and that's it. So it will not calibrate. It will not calibrate, so you see it returned. So it started the process, but until it's finished, you can stop it, and calibration will not be done, and it will not be misadjusted. And also, if you want, you can remove the device from here, from the app. And the last thing I wanted to show is this the kind of historic data representation. Here you can press either on this graph icon or on the measurements, and then the historic data will be uploaded to the app. You can see that. So here is the historic data on the device for CO2. Here is for temperature. Here is for the relative humidity. Here is for atmospheric pressure. So you can zoom in, zoom out, check them per time. And here you also can export it data in CSV file format. So the file will be created, and now you can share it if you want in WhatsApp, in Facebook, emails, wherever you want, basically. And I would say from my side, that would be it. I think we kind of covered in a pretty short time all the functionality this small device offers. So now I think it's part for the questions, which I believe you have.
Yep, there is a connection there, and I guess the recommendation. Yep, there it is. Okay, so 10 minutes, you'll get 7 years out of it. And these slides I will get to you as well as soon as I get them. And then there was a question about let me see, Amy. So we had a presentation a while ago from a faculty member at the University of Vermont about air quality, and he said that a CO2 steady state calculation spreadsheet in his presentation last autumn, which includes room volume and occupancy along with CO2 measurement in the calculation. Does the AirNet 4 alone give us enough info to understand whether we have achieved adequate air change per hour?
There are multiple studies. I think this is one of the studies which were presented. If we talk in general, then in the beginning of February, there was a big in Las Vegas Congress for ASHRAE, which is the kind of ventilation association, not only for the states, but it's basically state-based. And they did not come with any conclusions, in general, So they did not give any recommendations. We also have a close partnership with Dr. Jimenez. We also have had him on webinars, and he also has some approach that for the, there are different approaches, So this, I think, I'm not familiar with this particular, kind of recommendation, but there could be multiple, approaches. I would say just to keep it simple, and as for example, also CDC, Corona Disease Center recommends just to keep it simple, not to think about many factors, because then you can invent the room size, what's the building material, and so on and so on. So how many people, and this would make things, I would think, very, kind of difficult. We also have a cloud platform where these calculations could be done, but this is still kind of standalone small factor device. and it is giving the measurements, Of course, if you want to be very precise, then of course not only the CO2 level should be considered, but then it's some manual calculation, and then you have to count the people in the room, maybe also what's their activity. For example, if you are just, for example, reading a book, this is different than if you are doing some activities in the gym, if you are running, So this also should be taken. So there are a million factors, but the simplest way, just I like also, less is more, and keep it simple. You can just already get, I think, the most and to just to concentrate on the most important thing, that is CO2 concentration level, and just to keep it below 800, which is like the warning level, and 1000, then you definitely should do it. And this is also advised by CDC, and also this ventilation association in Europe, REVA, and also it's also in some European countries, also governments take this approach, because otherwise then you are kind of lost. Then you kind of say, yeah, I don't have all the information, so I cannot do anything, and you don't do anything. This is, I would say, if you have seen this movie, Don't Look Up, so with Leonardo DiCaprio, I would say the ASHRAE approach is the same, sit tight and assess, and nothing is happening. And what people should do, nothing. Wait for these smart guys to invent some very, sophisticated formula with 10 factors. I think it's better just to do something already now. Maybe it's not 100%, precise, but still I would say it's like 95% precise, still, because this is the most important. And you can already kind of protect yourself, protect your customers, and do what you can already without waiting, I don't know, a couple of years. For example, when ASHRAE would come with some sophisticated formula with 10 parameters, And this is also for...
Yes, thank you for the reminder to just try to not overthink this, because we aren't scientists, we're not engineers. And when we picked this tool, we really wanted you all to have a tool that will give you some baseline readings just to see what range you're in, and whether, if you're operating in yellow and red, to give you a tool to really act upon that. So in terms of any formulas and all of that, I will send you the original presentation from Dr. DeBuff as well. But I think I agree with Zigmar's, is just use the device for what it's worth and kind of get the readings off of it. And if you're in an outside of green mode, just really act on that. There are a few questions that talk about space and volume, so we'll address those. I wanted to address Keely's question because that is outside of what Zigmar's and Matt can talk about. That is, where do you find the information on how to request help from the administration? Keely, I think you might be in a school library, so that would go through AOE. But again, I think the resources that Dr. DeBuff that he offered would help you as well in addressing that. So there were two questions about volume. One is about placement in a large area, and that is Marie. Can you talk a little bit more about placement? I'm in one open space and I've kept mine near the desk so I can check it all day, but that isn't necessarily where library patrons congregate. And then there was another, if you could put up the slide about the volume and how many devices per
It should be
space.
already, like, this is little bit mentioned, because we can
Oh, right there,
share
yeah.
also. Yes, it's like our recommendation is like one device for like per room, and if it's more like 1,500 square feet, then you need like each device per, each 1,500 square feet, So on the placement, this is the kind of hard question, because I would say also there is no just like one, just kind of one rule. There are a couple of recommendations, but we have kind of couple of most important things to consider, just the the recommendations. It's not like just one regulation. So if you do this, then it will be 100%, correct, because each room, each place is different, So because the airflow and the CO2 concentration, it depends on the ventilation system used, how many windows, how many doors, also like general the configuration of the room. But we can send also some couple of these recommendations. At the moment, I'm not prepared to show them. Then you will see maybe some information I don't want to show you. But we will share also the recommendations, how to place it, for example, in a classroom. But it can be like a library or something, you know. So there are a couple of recommendations that don't put it next to the windows, don't put it next to the doors, don't put it next to the ventilation. Put it if you install it on a wall, or put it somewhere, you know, which is like 1.5 or 2 meters high. And these would be the main important things to consider, you know. And of course, if you can put it in some, you know, kind of place that is more central, then it's the best option, you know. Of course, if it's still safe in that place, so nobody can, I don't know, take it away from there. But because of that, we also have this anti-attack wall mount. Yeah, but so this depends on the room. But we have a couple of like highlights, what to consider, you know, when placing the device. This I will send after this call, you know, so you can consider, you know, for practical examples. But yeah, and also there should not be I would say recommended that nobody is like in 2 meter radius, at least 1 meter from the device, because if you will breathe in the device, you can also test yourself. But this I also would not recommend. The readings can go as high like 10,000, you know, if you breathe directly into the device. So you can also kind of damage the device, but also it will not represent the real situation, you know, kind of if you are too close. So these are the main things to consider, you know. So these are the main things, but this depends on each location, and then you can consider all these things and then find the best place in your particular room.
Great, thank you. And Bree, turn your mic on. You had a question.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have access to the chat for some reason. When going to the App Store, there are 3 apps that come up when you search RNet4. One of them has the symbol you're using in your presentation, the red symbol with the triangle, and then 2 others are different ones. So they all look like they're associated with your company. Which one should we download?
This which has this icon, you know, like you can share it. It stopped sharing, but so this one, like which has like an icon of the device.
Okay, I have that one, but it does not say beta, you know, with it.
Yeah, for me it's like a little bit on a kind of developer kind of, but it's the same thing. Yeah, so it's because I do also testing for the new version. So yeah, because yeah, we have a couple of them, but this RNet 4 would be the best option, because we also have some other software for some other purposes, but this the best state-of-art app for RNet 4.
Okay, great. And then because there is one that says RNet 4 display.
Yes, this is limited. This will just show the latest data. It is also possible to use this one. I can show also how it looks, so you can also download it, and it will also connect, but it will not provide the full functionality as the RNet for like a full-blown app. You know, so it will also connect. Then you see also just the latest data without the historic data, and you cannot configure the device. This is more like a lightweight version, but for some, this was more like for some public spaces. For example, you open it, and then it will open it, and it will also scan for the devices in the close proximity, and so it will scan. You can tell also which temperature unit to use. And you see I have also one device, the same device. You can use it for viewing, and you can see also here, like this will be a little bit different, you know. And here is just the latest data on the like a full screen mode. no configuration options, no other options like historic data and so on. So it's like very basic. Just you can select light or dark mode and the atmospheric pressure measurement units and temperature measurement units, and that's it.
Thank you.
So yeah,
And-
so but it still shows the same measurement as you see. So it's if it's 750, then it's 750 on both apps. You can
Yeah.
It's
There were
like
questions
limited edition.
about. Yeah, I actually just moved mine away too, and it went down. There are questions about a desktop or a web-based app for desktop computers rather than putting it on the phone. Is that an option for the device?
No, we support only if you have a desktop with Android, then you can also download the app, But at the moment we support these two versions. We have some third-party developer, like a web page. This also I can share after the, this call, maybe to check it. But this is pretty difficult to use, I would say. So at the moment we support mobile devices with the app. So it's Google Play and App Store. We don't support Huawei, but I don't think that you are using it in the States also.
Nope.
So yeah. So, but
Right.
these two main platforms are covered.
And there's also the opportunity, guys, to download it and do the calibration if you need to, or I guess whatever you need to do with the app that comes up, and then get rid of it and take it off your phone again, because it's not necessarily required to use the device. So in the meantime, that's something that you have an option to do.
Yeah, that's a really good idea to get the firmware and all of that stuff, and then delete the app from your phone. And again, you're probably not going to track over time that much, and you could always manually, if you don't want to put it on your phone, you could always take readings and put them in a logbook, go really analog on that if you don't want to have the app on your phone. So those are options. For those of you in huge spaces, we got the AirNet 4 Pro so that you could have the possibility of expanding. This won't apply to most of you. It's a little bit overkill, I think, for most of your situations, but there is a possibility of having multiple devices and then connecting them to a hub. If that's something that you're interested in down the line, then you could purchase additional devices and then connect them through a hub. We didn't. In working with Matt and also our vendor, we decided that that was just really too much for most instances and just went with the one device, but it is the Pro, so it can connect to the base station if you want that. The other thing I wanted to mention is this device has an extended warranty that we purchased on top of the devices. If you have any warranty issues, then you need to reach out to the company itself because the device is registered to you and not to us. If you forget, it's no problem. You can contact us. We'll send you to the right place. But just note that we assigned the serial number of the device to your library so that those are all registered with Matt and his colleagues. So if you have any issues, just reach out to them. Other questions?
We
Go ahead.
have support department, you can write to us, support@.rn.com. We have forum, like forum.rn.com, and also, so for example, I can show, kind of, so the questions you want to, kind of exchange your experience, we have forum, so there are also more, this is about RNet 4, as you see that basically daily people are writing to us, and we are replying to them. Maybe you want to share your experience. If you want, you can share for the search for the topics and find the necessary information. You can write also to our support email address. You can come to Matt's house, no. But if you have some
It's a long trip from Vermont.
it's okay, but but if you also have some claims, on the, kind of something is not working, but still our, like the percentage of, like the faulty or the defective devices is extremely low for us. So we are not afraid to share these details. So you can go to our webpage, to the support, and to fill the RMA form if the device is not working, and then our RMA department will contact you directly, so like fast, direct, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
please feel free to reach out, guys, if there's anything that comes up. We pride ourselves in being pretty quick to turn around any kind of inquiries or concerns, troubleshooting help. We have a team in Latvia, which is about 9 hours ahead of us. So a lot of times we can do this overnight, and you wake up in the morning and you have your answer. So please feel free to use that. Don't hesitate.
yes, but we also still have local support in Denver also, actually. So and also forum. So these are options. If you want, you can also tell what you think about your experience on Google Play or iOS, App Store. So we are, I would say, very approachable and very open, and transparent in my mind also. So if there is issue, we try to resolve it, as soon as possible. But I believe there should not be many issues.
Yeah, it gets top ratings, so I think we have a really reliable little device there. Margaret, you have your hand up.
Hi, yeah, I'm sorry to bother you. I just am still a little confused about, and I know you addressed this, but I had to step away for a minute. The placement, and we are not a huge library, but we have some big open spaces. Are we gonna get the best use of this, say putting it in our program room, which is a smaller space and might have more people in it, or deciding we'll get sort of a wider range of data for like our children's area, which is kind of an open space?
Most probably it would be better if you had device for each room, So on the other side, you can, as devices, totally lightweight, mobile, portable, you can test it in, for example, for 1 week in one space and the other one in other, and then you can decide, where it is more critical, maybe in one room there is no issue, the ventilation is working properly, so you don't need to worry that much, but the other one you have to monitor more. But of course, as it was mentioned, maybe the best approach would be if you would have 2 devices at least. And if this depends also how big is this, for example, this kind of the biggest space you have, so the biggest room. So
Margaret, sorry, Zigmars. You basically just want to think about where the people are and where you want to be monitoring. If there's a room that doesn't have anybody in it, your chances of having high CO2 levels are really low. The device is made so that you can test the safety of the places where people are going to be. So if you put that device right in front of someone's mouth, that's not going to be an accurate reading of what that room is doing. But if you put that on a wall in the room where people congregate, as centrally as possible, that's probably going to be the best place. You're going to have 100, like Zigmar said, theories on where to put this thing. But if you put it next to a window, you're going to get generally lower readings, right? If you put it in a room with no one, you're going to get lower readings. If you put it somewhere in a room that's away from a window, but still, within proximity to the people that are in that building, that's generally what people do. Now, I could probably get smacked for saying this because, like Zigmars is saying, there's there's 100 research scientists out there with their own theories, and there's all kinds of diagrams and maps and calculations. But what we found in general is just try and centrally locate to where the people are.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you very much.
And this measure where it's most important place, If the most important place is well ventilated, then you can move it to the second most important place.
Right.
So, yeah, that would be approach, because and if you have large open spaces and like multiple rooms, then and you want a permanent location, then maybe you have to consider more devices or this network solution, because it brings also more benefit and you can get like a better overview and if it's for multiple locations, But I think you have to first start, and then you will see how this works. And of course, it's also possible to expand it. You have this pro version, so also network solution is possible. You can expand your system, so it's very modular, scalable system,
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? You can raise your hand or just turn your mic on and chime in. And Margaret, if you don't mind taking down your hand, I'd appreciate that.
And of course, this is not limited just to this call. If you have some other questions, you can also write directly to us, use the forum. And of course, because initially there are more questions, which is normal. And then when they are answered, then most probably you're an expert and you're kind of just using and you know what to do and how to operate the device in your environment, basically, And this also was recorded, and so you also can rewatch it, so how the configuration is done for some aspect. But we also have user manuals and forum and so on, a lot of this kind of collateral materials.
Zigmar, can you see, yeah, okay, I think you're about to say the same thing,
Yep.
Margaret.
Allison has her hand up. Yep.
Can you
Go
see
ahead.
the question from Allison, Zigmar's?
No, I don't. I'm presenting.
The chat
So
open.
because then, okay, I will just then stop.
I can read it to you, Zigmar's. How do HEPA air purifiers affect the reading? I think I remember Eve saying that they recirculate the air. So would the CO2 reading be accurate for infection risk?
Yes, the like HEPA filters don't affect CO2 readings at all. They work on like particles. So no correlation. So because they also consider, like we are developing now PM sensor. This could be kind of used for HEPA filter. Kind of effectivity or effectiveness. Measurements. But this one is for CO2, and so HEPA filters, they just circulate the air, they don't change the CO2 concentration level. Then you need, that's why you need the ventilation. They are filtering just like the bigger kind of particles, which is not CO2, which is a gas.
From a non-scientific viewpoint, just air circulation in general is going to give you a pretty good reading for the room because it circulates everything around. And so if you have a sensor that's on a wall and it's not in proximity to people, it's probably going to get a little bit more of that CO2 circulated towards the sensor, right? So a fan would do that as well. But like Zigmar is saying, these are two completely different things to measure. Air filtering through a filter is great. It's a very good tool, but it's very hard to measure what you're actually accomplishing. With CO2, you can measure that, and it goes for more than just COVID. It's any airborne disease or also just general cognitive functionality, like Zigmar was talking about in the beginning of the slide presentation, is highly increased with lower CO2 levels. So just to keep in mind, yes, circulating air is a good thing. But these are two different animals completely.
Yeah. And Allison, unless you have a follow-up, if you don't mind taking down your hand. And I am putting our form in the chat. If you don't mind giving us feedback on that form about this webinar, that'd be great. And we have about 5 minutes left if anybody has any final questions, but do look at the materials. They're really great, easy to understand. And I know most of you have already fired up your devices and are using them. They're so easy to use.
We hope so. We try to make them, kind of easy. It's less is more. We believe in simplicity,
Yep. Okay. All right, well, we'll get a bunch of resources out to you as soon as I get the recording and all of the other things that you refer to, Zigmar's. We'll get that out, and hopefully you will respond to my survey down the line in a couple of months and let me know how it's going. And if you are looking to buy additional ones, let me know, please. We can probably work with you on that. So, and Matt's a resource as well. Thank you, Zigmar's and Matt, for doing this. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And
thanks, everyone.
yeah, have a good day and a good evening to you, Zigmar's. You're probably done working now. Okay.
Not yet, actually, but thanks for listening. So I hope that this makes sense and you can use it, the device as it, now with more convenience. And most probably, as I say, till next time, because we still try to be partner with our customers, not just for one time, but this is a long-term relationship.
please feel free to reach out. Yeah.
Will do. Okay. Thank you both.